It's not that that's the problem.
That's already
Okay,
on.
we're live.
That one's live. Is
Yeah,
this one
Yeah,
live?
yeah, they're both live.
That one went
Good
first.
evening, people. Good evening.
Good
Good
night.
Good evening, YouTube as well.
Well,
I
go on,
know
YouTube.
there's less interaction on there.
Hello.
Hey,
We know people
mine-
see
That's
it.
this anyway.
Yeah. Well, as you can see from the
Title.
the title, yeah, I was gonna say headline, but it's not. It's not. We ain't that magazine, so you know. As you can see from the title, we're gonna be discussing the state of Israel and if it's even real.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that. And who are the occupiers?
Are the Jewish people?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Who
The
are the
Ishbak.
occupiers? Who should be the real occupiers if there was to be an Israel? Yeah.
And why even are we talking about it? That's the
Yes,
first thing.
exactly. Yeah. So
The reason why we're talking about it, Tamar's getting their notes ready, so I'll just fill the gap.
yeah,
The reason why we're talking about it is because we don't like lies.
yeah, exactly.
Basically, that's the long and the short of it. They have lied to us and you
And everybody.
for too long, and they're still lying, and we're not having it,
No, we're not.
right?
It's
Because
boring now.
we're not. So that's it.
We're tired of people thinking
Lies are lies, and we're not interested in the lies.
Yeah.
So they need to stop. And I'm not saying that whatever we say to people is going to convince them, to think so massively different about it. But for our sake, we will do what we always do: present the evidence and the information, and we leave people if they want to refute whatever we say. We are always happy for people to make their comments. And so that's it. From a Christian perspective, which I very nearly always bring in because I am a Christian, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm not, so I don't hide it. From a Christian perspective, many people are told, oh well, we support Israel, because we receive a blessing from the Lord for supporting Israel and praying for Israel and praying for the state of Israel and so on and so forth. No.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I have to say. No.
No.
That's not how it goes.
No, it isn't.
Israel is not supposed to be Israel. So no.
Yeah. You're obviously not reading your Bible, are you?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Well, this is the problem with a lot of things, that nobody ain't reading their Bible.
That's the problem.
And if they are,
Or
they
they only know someone's interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look into Israel and what was happening before Israel was actually formed, obviously we know that there was the wars going on in World War. I was about to say I don't know what I was about to say, the war between England and Germany, but it wasn't. It might as well have
World
been.
War One, 1914 to 1918.
Yes, exactly. And I know that because I did history, too much history. Gosh, that was draining. But yeah, the doctored history that they tried to teach you, and in history it tells you that obviously Hitler took over the Rhineland, which was called no man's land or whatever, a piece of land between 2 points that nobody owns, supposedly. Nobody has any rights to or anything like that. And he took over that area. But what you actually find is there's quite a few accounts and information that suggests that Hitler was actually CIA intelligence. Now, some people might be thinking, here we go again. This is all rubbish. But there's many accounts of it that he was a CIA agent. And yeah, he worked for British intelligence as well, because they wanted him to, he was tasked with cultivating fear and terror in Europe to justify the creation of Israel. Because when you actually look into where Israel has been made and created. It's literally been made in an area where they know that the people that inhabit that area are going to fight and argue and have wars, etc. Because from the beginning of time, like from, let me see if I can even find it, 'cause it's in my notes. It's some like AD, some far time. Yeah, that was it. So it says here, the land called Palestine now consists of Israel, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip. To Jews, their claim to the land, Jewish people, their claim to the land dates back 3,000 years when Jewish kings ruled the region from Jerusalem. To Palestinians, both Muslim and Christian, the land has belonged to them since the Jewish were driven out around AD 135. To the Arabs, the land has belonged to them since their conquest of the area in the 7th century. So you see, from before even the World War, there was already issues with this piece of land and who had their right to it and who owned it and who should, you know what I mean, who should take ownership and who should live on there, what people should be living on there, right? So there was revelations in the JFK files that prove Hitler escaped to Colombia. This is after World War II.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the help of the British and the Americans. And actually, there's factual evidence that Hitler then began working with NASA in America anyway. So clearly that must be why he was given, you know,
that's why he was given that reasoning. They bombed his bunker and nobody was found.
Yes.
They say, oh, you know, it was just you know, you couldn't see if it was Hitler or not.
Yeah,
because it was bombed up because it wasn't him. That was the excuse for him to be able to escape.
Something about they got it from his teeth or whatever.
The body was unrecognizable.
Yeah, so they worked it out from his teeth. You can leave a tooth there.
Coincidental, possibly. Which sounds like another one of those things, you know, where often these people mysteriously have heart attacks.
Yeah,
and it's always a heart attack.
Yep. Yeah, or heart complications.
You know, or heart complications, like Magufuli, for instance, the former president of Tanzania, who they killed.
They killed him.
And I'm saying it on Facebook. I'm saying it on YouTube.
Yeah, they killed him.
Hear what I'm saying?
It's not a conspiracy.
They killed Magufuli. And for those who say it's all conspiracy, no problem, because everything is conspiracy that other people don't believe.
Yeah.
So
or don't understand.
There's no problem.
And it's as simple as that.
Some people say that Jesus is a myth, let alone conspiracy, but I believe in him and I know he's real. So your conspiracy theory doesn't mean anything to me.
But we've even made it clear anyway, all you people that want to talk, everything is a conspiracy that is true. And everything that you think is true is false. Or is a twisted lie, it's twisted truth to make you believe their own narrative and their own agenda and their own way of what you must perceive your reality as. That's the truth.
Like, for instance, as an example, vaccinations are good for you. As an outright statement, vaccinations are good for you. Okay. To do what? To boost your immune system against a particular virus. Who created the virus?
Right then.
Where did the virus come from? And what would your immune system normally do without the vaccine?
Yeah. Please answer these questions. Because even people are saying, I know this is not about the vaccine, but I think people understand what point we're trying to make here with the fact of the truth and knowledge of the world has been twisted and contorted to suit a purpose. Yeah. And people were saying, when people used to go to the villages, they would this is why more people need to be vaccinated, because when they're going to villages, to see their grandparents maybe or things like that, they're saying that they're bringing back these diseases or viruses and it's killing off people in villages and all these things.
And
but it's lies. Yeah, it's lies, because where did it come from in the first place? How could they suddenly move to the city and now they've got some unknown virus that was never there before, and then now they're taking it back to the village? That is not true. People are fabricating these things.
The people in the villages were tough.
Yeah, they're not weak.
Strong.
Do you know what I mean? They're not weak people. They know how to heal themselves. They know things of the earth, how to actually use the herbs and the medicines that are natural.
Yeah, but that's why they don't want you doing anything holistic.
Of course.
They call it.
That's what they call it. Yeah, holistic.
Yes, unless they can control it.
Yeah.
Because they know that
oh no, all that holistic medicine is not right.
Because it works.
Yeah.
That's why
that's
they don't want you
queen.
experimenting. They want you to be involved with Big Pharma and help them
Of
continue.
course, because that's what the queen. That's what the queen specifically chooses to use. Holistic doctors.
Yeah.
So why would the queen specifically choose holistic doctors if they were no good?
Because she wants to live a long time.
Yeah.
She's lived a long time.
Yes, she has.
Too long.
We know she ain't going that soon either. Yeah. So if I tell you a few more, what do you call them? Conspiracy theories about Hitler's connection to the formation of Israel and what was going on with the war and the destabilization of the countries and the governments, etc. So what you find is, let me find it. In the summer of 1940, so this is the Second World War, when Britain was prostrate. Is that the word? Prostrate, yeah. Yeah, prostrate. When Britain was, hello. When Britain was prostrate, Nazi military intelligence chief Admiral Wilhelm Canaris told Romanian foreign minister Prince Michael Sturza to stay neutral because England would win the war. Now that was in summer of 1940. Isn't that interesting? How did he know that Britain would win the war before the war had literally just begun again? So how would he know that Britain was to win the war?
Because that was the plan.
Exactly. And this is the point I'm making. It was the plan.
And the winner was planned.
Yes. It was all a planned event. Yeah, he also gave this message to Spanish dictator Franco, right? And this theory, why Hitler, who was supposedly supposed to be the arch enemy of, Jewish people and all of that, acted like he didn't know who the Rothschild family was, who controlled all these things.
Because they're his relatives.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was common knowledge. And if the status that he had in Germany, he knew these things, which is why he behaved the way he did in the first place. Yeah, he had high people in high places. That was quite obvious. Yeah. So what's it called? People also were saying, why didn't he attack? He wouldn't have tried to accommodate these countries like Russia and England if he wasn't in some sort of partnership, secret alliance agenda with them.
Yeah.
Because they make out nowadays about Hitler saying, he was obviously, he was a war criminal and what else do they say? He was a racist or whatever. Yeah, they say he was a racist, he was a war criminal, he was a savage.
Yeah, they say all these things about Donald Trump as well.
Yeah, they did. And they do say these things. Yeah, and everybody talks all this, if we could go back and kill Hitler, we would, and all of it, them kind of talk.
And they would kill him because they wouldn't want him to talk about the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially and particularly the British interest. Because what we have to understand, I mean, the very basic reason why we're even talking about this is so that people really understand that if you don't open your eyes and start to look at things and you just swallow the stale coffee that they give you to drink, you're going to have a very sick stomach. Let me put it that way. Why am I saying that? Because we live right now, anyway, at least in Great Britain, And this country that we live in has had their finger in everybody's pie, practically,
the whole world,
and not for good reasons.
Yeah.
All for the interest of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. What could they get financially out of it? What power structure, is there? I mean, the area that we're talking about, technically, from 1920 to 1948. Yeah, in fact, from 1919, it came into being 1920.
Yeah.
But basically, this mandate was called Mandatory Palestine. Who ruled it? The British.
Yeah.
And that was not just coincidence. That was from the end of the First World War until the start of the so-called State of Israel. So even beyond the Second World War, British interest. We're going to dig into that a bit deeper, but let Tamar carry on.
So what you find is it says here that Israel was created from, like I told you, part of Palestine in order to create a homeland for the Jewish people. And
the so-called returning Jews.
The so-called returning Jews. And I think if you really think about it, if you really think about it deeply, the way that Hitler kind of basically terrorized and forced these Jewish people was, I feel, obviously for the basis of creating a struggle within that group of people, and it's also forcing an identity on that group of people, so that then they all became, we are all Jewish. This is our faith. This is our ethnicity. This is our race. Because really and truly, you don't really, when you look at them Jewish people, you don't really have a differentiation between all of those social factors, do you? You don't really. There doesn't really seem to be like, breaks in between those social factors. Like for us, they would say that we're black and we're Christian and we're English or something like that. Whereas for Jewish people, it's actually just, they're Jewish.
Yeah.
Where they from? Israel. So they're Jewish. And their faith is they're Jewish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel that Hitler tried to create this, like what's the word? He tried to create this little bubble of people to use in their agenda. So, they're the Jewish people, boom, slam them in there and shut them up, and that's it. Keep them quiet, keep them cool. We know that they're the converts and not the real ones. Shun off the real ones and tell them that they were just all slaves, so they don't know what's going on, so they can never try to take any claim of any land
which actually belongs to them.
Exactly. They can't come and take any claim to any land, because the land is not just that small piece of Israel, what they've even put there in the first place. It's the whole place, and they're just giving that little small bit. Boom, there's Israel. Go on, enjoy, Jewish people, and shush now, because we've got other things going on. That's basically what they were doing. Yeah, because well, you already know anyway. There's the converted people, because there would have been, of course, real Jews still there, but they would have been kill off during the what were they called? Concentration camps. They would have got them all to the concentration camps, killed off the ones that they wanted to kill off, because remember, they were piling up bodies daily. Yeah, at these concentration camps. So they would have killed off anybody that had any kind of connection, remnants, information to the real Jews. Yeah, they would have killed them all off and kept the ones that wanted to tell their story. Yeah, and then said, all right, you lot can live, you lot can go, if you accept this as the truth, or if you tell people you are the real Jews and you're not the converts. Yeah, and then that story has continued until now.
Yeah.
And they're telling it to their children, who are telling it to their children, who are telling it to their children.
And it's all lies.
Yes, and it's all lies. And I know people may say, oh, that's circumstantial.
No, it's not.
evidence, that's circumstantial thinking. No, it's not, because when you actually think about it, why else were some people killed and some people were not? And there was hundreds dying every day, supposedly. They were killing them off every day. So how come there was still some that survived and some that did not? Shouldn't all of them been killed if he was so hell-bent on killing every single Jew? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You have to look at it a bit deeper. It doesn't make sense. And these are some of the questions that I would just like people to have a little think about. I'm just gonna leave these questions with you, yeah?
Conspiracy theories.
But that's what I want to know. So this is the first question. Why was Hitler able to expand into the Rhineland without fear of any retaliation? Question 2. Why was the Nazi war machine financed and built by the Bank of England? Yeah. Question number 3. Why did Hitler never seal the Mediterranean at Gibraltar? And why did the Spanish dictator Franco remain neutral despite the huge debt he owed to the Nazis from the Civil War? And that's just question 3. I've still got more questions, but I'm gonna leave it at that because I think those ones are heavy enough. Yeah, but answer those questions logically as well, not make up stories. Answer those questions logically, actually using your intellect, and tell me what the answers are. Because there's no actual, there's no other explanation except that they were all together. They were all doing their thing. They all had their own agenda, just like today. What you're seeing today with all of these leaders in the world and all of these people, all these, there's a war here, there's a war there. They're the ones that are doing it. And it's as simple as that. They're the ones that, they may not be kept continuing the fighting, but they've caused it. Yeah, they started the fighting. And that's the same thing that was happening there in the world when it was the World War. They were fabricated wars. They're built with a purpose.
They usually are. It's like them bombings in Syria.
Yes, exactly. Exactly like the bombings in all them countries. Every minute, everywhere is getting bombed off. Why? Because they want to take away any evidence of
that's
things.
What you figure out when you realise
when you realise what it is that they're doing.
Exactly. The
specific places.
Specific places out of nowhere, just boom, bombing it out.
But it's not out of nowhere.
Yeah, of course not. But to what everybody else thinks, oh no, it was jihadi again, or whatever they call it. It was the jihad again, or it was the Taliban. And all of this. Oh, it was ISIS again. All of them are made
up. There ain't no ISIS.
There is no ISIS. Because from the time I heard, ISIS are taking a break because of lockdown. Excuse me. From the time I heard that, I just thought, thank you, God, because you've just given me the confirmation that I needed. They're just some CIA intelligence group. Simple as that.
Taking a break because of lockdown, as if they would care.
Yeah, exactly. Why would they'd be enjoying it? They'd be like, good, no,
because everybody's at home.
Yeah. Now it's time for us to get on the road and rule even more. Yeah, it's not a coincidence, all these things and all these destabilizing of these small countries, small areas, and how there's always seems to be some sort of strip of land or piece of land or area of land that nobody inhabits, but no one can go on there. No one can pass through there, or they have to fly over it, or they can't drive, they can't walk, they can't hike, nothing through that piece of land. This is not a coincidence. There's obviously a connection between this no man's land and the two opposite sides of countries fighting against each other. There must be some sort of spiritual connection to that. There has to be, because it's not a coincidence, is it? Every single time there's some sort of war, there's some sort of land or area that people are fighting over, some small piece of land as well. Like there's not enough space for everybody on this earth. It's just very confusing,
First of all, one of the things that I think we need to do when we look at this subject is to define what they now could classify as Israeli. What even is that?
Exactly, because I don't even really.
Let's have a look at, because now you see
It's a made up thing. Like
what they now as the world would call a Jew or a Jewish person. This is where the problem starts. Because if we follow the Bible, which unfortunately for those who don't like the Bible, tough, because when it comes to the people of the book, then we need to follow it because it's their book, which is our book, and we're coming, so you'll get me. So Israel, as a nation, biblically, they were the people of God, and those who claim to be Israelis until today, some of them claim to be the people of God, which meant that they would have called themselves Hebrews is one of the terms, or they would have called themselves Israelites, which has now been, shortened down to Israelis. And later they were called Jews. But actually, it wasn't all of them who were called Jews. So I'm not gonna give a long historical dialogue about all of this, but I just want to set some things straight, or at least put them out there. You can go and check if you think I'm talking nonsense. Please go and check, and you'll see if I'm right or wrong. Israel as a nation ended.
Golders Green.
Golders Green. Yeah, there's plenty of so-called Jewish people there in London. Yeah, the ones with the big tall hats and all that. Which we're going to come and define who those are in a minute.
I'm not even saying anything yet.
So Israel were invaded by Assyria, the kingdom of Israel, because originally under King David, it was one nation. Israel and Judah were one. Then his son Solomon took over as king, and Israel and Judah were still one. But Solomon was just a nastiness. Let's just put it that way. Everybody knows the story of Solomon. He's all his millions of wives and every other thing, and the witchcraft and all of this. So he had no time for anything sensible, because he was just busy, up and down. So he obviously didn't teach his sons the correct things that they should have been taught. And so here comes his son now, Rehoboam, who basically made sure that they lost the kingdom. But the loss of the kingdom as one kingdom was predicted by the Almighty God when he spoke to Solomon and said, "You've done what I told you not to do, so that's it. The kingdom for you guys is over. For the sake of David, you will not lose all of it." But under Rehoboam, 10 tribes disappeared and went off with Jeroboam. Jeroboam was originally a general in the army, and he became the king of Israel. So the kingdom of Israel became separate from the kingdom of Judah. Now, at that point, that's where everything changed. So now, and this is what we've got to understand. So when we're talking about Israel, what are we saying? And then now, when people now term Israel and Israelis as Jews, be careful. Be careful about that conversation, and let's be straight about what you're actually saying. Yes, we should honor the Jews and blah, blah, blah. Well, who are they? Because these people are fake. And I'm stating that point blank clear. If they're standing up and presenting themselves as real Jews, no, they're fake. 100%. And they know it. If they present themselves as Israel, they might be correct.
Yeah.
But that also does not mean that there should be a state or a nation of Israel, because the Bible said there wouldn't be. And I'm going to come to that in a minute and read you at least anyway, maybe one scripture. There are others, but maybe I'll only read you one. For those people who love the Bible, I'll give you maybe just one. Right? But the facts are that when the nation of Israel was under King Jeroboam, he took them into idolatry.
Yeah.
They were no longer the people of Jehovah, and they kept coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. Every god of every nation, they worshipped them. They were off because they were allowed to do temple prostitution. They were allowed to behave anyhow they want. They were allowed to burn their children. They were allowed to have abortion. Basically, a bit like what we're having now, you know, where they could just behave how they felt like. And nobody should tell you what to do. So as a result of that, God said, I've had enough. So you're going to be invaded by the Assyrians and you're going to be finished. So when the kingdom of Israel were invaded by the Assyrians, and they took the best people, as in best in terms of you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Intellectual abilities and so forth, as well as the people who are the most well-to-do and well-off, and they took them out of the country, took them to Persia, and so forth. There's a little known thing that not so many people have understood, which has influenced some of the thinking of those particular people as well. That when they went to Persia, they were now introduced to the Zoroastrian religion. As a result of the Zoroastrian religion, that now elevated the ability of Satan to a different level, because Zoroastrian religion basically speaks of a dichotomy between good and evil, as if they're on the same type of level, which is a nonsense, because the Almighty God created Satan, who is now evil, and a created thing cannot be like its creator, right? I know some people would want to beg to differ because they're doing this AI business, and those robots will be more powerful than some humans. But irrespective of that, that's what, you know, that's why Satan is allowing them to do, wants them to do it. That's a whole different story in itself, but that's why, because he wants to try to prove a point. He wanted to be more than God, who created him. Zoroastrianism presents that, you know, as almost as a reality, that they're fighting on a level. God and Satan fighting on a level. And there's no such thing. There's no such thing. God is not fighting with Satan and never needs to. Maybe we as humans fight with Satan.
Satan is like a child trying to trigger God.
That's right. And God into doing something. And he's just, I'm not interested, because you can't do anything. But now, as a result of Israel as a people following false gods, false religions, false doctrine, false teaching, they were cut off. So that only left Judah, and Judah mainly consisted of the tribe of Benjamin and Judah. Now the Levites joined the tribe, as it were, of the Levites joined Benjamin and Judah, because the Levites were the priests. So we're just talking tribally now. There are some subdivisions within the Levites, but all of them are Levites anyway, even whether they're called Kohanim or any other name, depending on the designation of what it was that they did in the temple. They were all from the Levite tribe. Then there were one or two other groupings of half tribes that joined Judah, but all were amalgamated under Judah. So you will have had some people from Manasseh who joined Judah, and you will have had Benjamin Judah, Manasseh, and Levi, and they all were the kingdom of Judah. Now, as it so happens, later on, Judah also started to do nonsense, and they also went into captivity.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, when they ended up in their absolute what's the word, diaspora, that's the word I'm looking for. There was you know, within that period of time Jesus came. It was then, by then it was called Judea. It was now a province of Rome, right? But it was that area was the kingdom of Judah, not Israel, because there wasn't any Israel. Israel, many hundreds of years before, had dissipated and they were no more. It was the kingdom of Judah. And also, in place of where Israel was, which was, you know, originally they were called the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep into this because I just don't want to, because it's long. But they were called the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom. So the Northern Kingdom, now they were no more. It was just the Southern Kingdom. You see. Then you had, like, now where the Gaza Strip is now, that was where the tribe of Dan was, which originally they were part of Judah. But, you know, if you read and you understand, it was prophesied that they were going to go and do their own thing. And that's why now you've got what you've got in the Gaza Strip, because they decided to leave from the kingdom of Judah. So that's why now they are the Palestinians. Right? Now, like I said, I don't want to get into this too deep, but we got to understand when they say, oh, this is Israel. No, actually, no. No. It certainly is not. Because Israel, the Bible says, should not exist anymore. And God wasn't interested in Israel.
Not after the
he said that he would be interested in Judah, because he had told David that and in fact in the book of Genesis chapter 49, God spoke and said that the scepter would never leave Judah. That's what he said. So as a result of that, we know that that's where the rulership is, in Judah. Now Judah and Israel are not the same. They're two separate kingdoms. The word Jews comes from the kingdom of Judah, because those now were the ones who still continue to follow the religion that, or if you like, and I don't like the word or the term religion, but they are the ones who continue to follow the religion or the teaching that the Almighty God had given them from the beginning of time, which we now know as Judaism.
Which still, that tells you where it came from.
Yes, Judah.
Judah.
And they're the ones who followed it. The Levites were their priests and officers of the temple, singers and you know, ushers and every other thing. They were the Levites. Now, as a result of this, when the time came and they also had gone into their sin, God scattered them throughout the nations. But now Israel was scattered throughout the nations, never to come back together. That's what the Bible said. And even what they did in the northern kingdom, the Assyrians brought in people from all the other nations they had conquered and sowed them into the northern kingdom, so that they would now contaminate, if you like, the bloodline. But they made sure that these people are still related. But they're related, but they're enemies, and you know you can have enemies in the same family. So here's where we're coming from.
They're the same people, but to them they're not the same people.
That's right. So to cut a long story short, it says you could look at it as if to say, well, these ones knew that they lost their inheritance and their privileges. Now they're angry because the others didn't, or didn't lose it to the same level. So now they want to withdraw it from them. And this is kind of where things were at. Like I said, there is much more to say on the subject, but you know, what we're saying basically, because I think people, if it does nothing else today, then provoke people to go and look.
I think it's Messenger or something. Something made a noise over there.
No, on the laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah.
Messenger, but
Never mind.
so the thing is that we're doing this because we're provoking people to go and look, go and check out the evidence and see why would we even say, oh, we don't support the state or the nation of Israel. No, we don't, because there's no such
There's
thing.
no such thing.
Because it doesn't
There's no
say
such thing.
in the Bible.
If
Read your Bible.
If they'd have turned around and called themselves the state or the nation of Judah, it would have made more sense. But they knew that would be an absolute lie.
They knew
right?
that one couldn't write.
It would be an absolute lie, so they dropped it.
Yeah, they had to.
Because now the thing is, when they say we are Israel and we are Israelis, they're correct. Because you've got to understand that there were two kingdoms. And a lot of people forget that or didn't know it in the first place. They don't understand. So when you see these people who are now calling themselves Jews, they're actually correct when they say that they are Israelis. Because their bloodline connection to that area is Israel.
Yeah.
That is true. Right? That's the bloodline connection, but they're not Judah, so they're not Jews.
They're not Jews.
Right? Israelis, yes, and they actually, if you look at how they speak and how they term themselves, they know. They're very clear about the fact that they call themselves Israelis.
Yeah.
And they're correct. They are Israelis.
Yeah.
But the people of the book, until this day, are not Israelis. They are Judah. Right?
And they're the real Jews.
And that's what you got to understand. And they're not necessarily, because, you know, some people have said, well, yes, it's people who are, you know, brown looking like me. No.
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
That's another thing as well. But this is the thing, I think people don't understand the origins. Yeah, you're talking about
Genesis then.
Yeah, really. What, back then, like as in back then
that's when they were brown.
Yeah, because everyone was brown.
Yeah.
There was nobody looking white, really. People were paler, yes, and you know, lighter skin, but in what we call today terms white, there was none.
Yeah, that's right. And the mixture of people, as you know, has come because people mix.
Yeah.
These two are my daughters, and they're both different color.
Exactly.
And they're both a different color than me.
Exactly. And it happens all the time. All of my brothers and sisters are different shades of brown.
Yeah. Our brothers are different shades.
Yeah.
And they're two different shades to us as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think people need to really read the origins of, or study. If you don't want to read the Bible, go and have a look for yourself. Study the origins of where the world came from and where people came from and how they populated the earth.
You can find that information without having to refer to the Bible
if it doesn't suit you. Yeah, exactly. Because you can find that information. But if we were to say, let's read the Bible, because I like to go to the Bible. Sorry, I don't care. That's confirmation for me for what's happening or what's going on. That gives me the confirmation more than anything else. So I like to go to the Bible, and it tells you in the Bible where each son came from, who their sons became, what nation of people they brought forward, and where they came from. It's literally there. The lineage is there for you to read, and it doesn't even have any, it doesn't even have any gaps. It just it gives you the nice long, all the names of the son, the name of the father of that one, and who his sons were, and what nation he brought, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's there for you to see. You only have to look into it. You only have to do a bit of research, and you'll find where skin tones came from, and all of these things.
That's right.
Yeah?
And even that is a contentious issue, which I'm going to cover it in a minute, where the so-called Jewish are concerned.
The propaganda is taking away the will to research.
But let me tell you what the Bible says. The book of Hosea, chapter 1, and this Hosea was a prophet who basically told Israel what was going to happen to them and Judah, anyway, as far as God was concerned. And this is what he said. Remember, you can refute what you like, but we're talking about the book. And this is the book, and we're talking about the people of the book. So here's what he said. Hosea chapter 1. And verse 6, and she conceived again and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, call her name Loruhamah, meaning no pity. For I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. Verse 7, but I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and will save them by Jehovah their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Okay, for some people that's a bit gobbledygook to them, but it's plain.
Let's make it sense.
Israel,
Galan.
Russia,
You lot are done.
Judah, God will stretch his own hand and protect them and deal with them and look after them and so on and so forth. So now, but what we've had now is that we've got a mix up and blend up. People who knew, some who knew that their genetic roots would be Israel. They've jammed themselves in and said, we are Judah. No, they're liars.
We are Judah and you are not.
They are lying.
That's exactly what they've done. Basically.
That's right. And then told others who are Judah that they're not Judah.
Yeah.
You see? Now this is where the problem has come. Now, why did this happen? Like I said, it's never my intention in this live to give out all the information. I'm provoking people on purpose, and I knew there wouldn't be like loads of people watching this today, because some of them will be like, "Oh, why are they talking about that?" But whoever watches it later, good for you. You'll listen to what we're saying and go away and have a look for yourself. And whoever chooses not to watch it, because according to you, this subject today is rubbish.
Good for you.
That's some me said.
That must mean
Merry
that the
Christmas.
other ones are rubbish too. So.
We don't mind because we know why we're telling you.
Exactly.
And you don't have to learn anything from it. You don't have to agree. You don't have to even, just think what you like, but we're still going to talk. So here's the thing now. They knew that they had to create that state. Why did they want to create the state and the nation of Israel? It's a long story, which I'm not. I told you it's got personal interest for the British, personal interest for the French, which theirs is always financial things.
The superpower.
And then it had some spiritual aspects to it as well. Why they wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Now the thing is this, that when they created this so-called state nation of Israel, 1948. Up until that point in time, the people who already were living and occupying in those areas were not at war with each other at that level. But now we know from the 20th century, they began coming in from Russia. Now these are Israel. Those will be the Israel-rooted people. That's why they call themselves Israelis. Right, because they're not Jews. That's a term which people have given them as a nickname, but it doesn't belong to them anyway.
Yeah, because they're of the Jewish faith.
So when they say that they are Israeli, they're correct.
Yeah.
And even when they say that they are Jewish, they are correct.
Yeah.
Because the ish means what it says. When you say something is ish, it means it's like it, but it isn't it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly who they are. They are like it, but they aren't it, because they are Israel. Now, why do we say that that's the case? Because if you look and understand, and you can go away and Google and look for the information to see if I know what I'm talking about or not. Probably, and I wouldn't like to lie, but I would probably say that it's 80% plus of the people living in Israel are secular.
Oh yes, yeah.
They are non-religious.
Non-religious, yeah.
They are Zionists. Now, for those who don't know what Zionists are, I'm not gonna go into that in too much detail. Do a Google search or Wikipedia search. You will find out that Zionism, the Zionists, is a man-made, created entity. The man who created Zionism was a homosexual non-believer. So you got to understand, Me, I even feel like preaching. You have to understand where this came from.
Yeah.
The man who invented it
Yeah.
was a non-believer homosexual.
So was his father.
He went and studied, Jewish religion.
And then decided.
And you see, it's simple. There's an amalgamation because obviously, when you start looking in the Old Testament, which is the foundation of the basis of the people of the book.
Yeah.
When you start looking at the Old Testament, so to speak, the Torah and other writings, you can then take that as your book, as your writing, which is what they've done. We'll study this, and this is where they come up with their, the Jewish and Judaism teach. But they have taken something and adapted it and adopted it, but it was not theirs.
To their own variation.
So now, when you then see, you had people groups coming in from Russia. Again, not coincidence, because in the First World War, we know there was a lot of persecution there in that area. Russia, Lithuania, and so on, because they want to push those people out.
Yeah.
Why were they making it look like it was absolute persecution? Because they had a plan to put them there.
Yes.
That's what you've got to understand. This was planned from a long time ago. Then, when you look at the actual bloodline of these people, and even in America, where you have Jewish people, 97% of them are Ashkenazi.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to give you too much information about who Ashkenazi are, because as a place, as a nation today, that Ashkenazi doesn't exist. But they came from that same Eastern European region, and some of them are connected. So they are Eastern European, and they are Germans, and so forth. Hence why they speak Yiddish. Yiddish is a derivative of German.
Yes.
Right? And they know 97% of those people are Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi are not the original people. They are the converts.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, I'm not going to give you the details about it much, because that wasn't particularly it's not the whole remit of what we're talking about. We're here just to tell you what we tell you, that we don't support the State of Israel, because there's no such thing.
Yes.
And we're substantiating some of that with some evidence. So the Ashkenazi were converts.
Yeah.
They were in the main Muslims and some Christians and whatever, and they converted big time, wholesale.
Yeah.
To Judaism and took it over.
It became like a cultural thing for them.
But that was a plan, because they then said, we're taking it. This is why I said to you, you've got to understand, because they knew that there's benefits. There's benefits in being the people of the book.
Yeah.
So they said, we are now going to become the people of the book, so that we will reap the benefits of the people of the book. And of course, it doesn't work like that. But that's why they've been trying to do it by force.
Yeah.
You see? So they said, we want the benefits of the people of the book. So we are now going to adopt Judaism and say, we are the Jews.
Yeah.
It is our religion. But it was not so. They took, but now they trace their bloodline to Israel, not Judah. Right? That's what you've got to understand. Those people now who are now occupying, they're occupying in there. Many of them have come from Eastern Europe, Lithuania, Russia, Germany, and so forth. And they came and they've come in there. Then now you've got those in America and so forth. The largest majority of them are Ashkenazi.
Yeah.
That's the biggest amount. Then what they did was to tell another lie. We're going to come back to the Ashkenazi in a bit, because Gerald mentioned Golders Green, and the ones there, most of them there are Ashkenazi as well. We're going to come back to that and say a little bit more about the Ashkenazi. But now they told a very dirty lie. If you understand history, you will know that when Nebuchadnezzar conquered the kingdom of Judah
Mm.
and began taking, as it were, the cream of the crop into Babylon,
Yeah.
he took some of the Jews and he took them to what has been known as the Iberian Peninsula, Sephardim.
Yeah, that's it.
So now you have Sephardic Jews.
Yeah.
Now the Sephardic Jews, the ones there who now again they have mixed the bloodline and they now those ones trace themselves again Israel.
Yeah.
But now the original Sephardic Jews will have been Judah. They would have been real Jews, right? The one, and then there was a mix once they went there, because remember, once they got into the Iberian Peninsula, now many people say, "Oh, Nebuchadnezzar did something." No, Nebuchadnezzar didn't do anything good
No.
because Nebuchadnezzar was wicked.
Yeah.
Nebuchadnezzar took those Jews there to the Iberian Peninsula, which is southern Spain and Portugal. He took them there as slaves.
Yeah.
Took them there as workers. Now, because of the abilities that they had, those people now became the doctors, the bankers, the engineers, and so on and so forth there. They were people of color who looked like me, Tamar, and Angelica. And there's no dispute, there's no argument, there's no if and or but about it. It is 100% fact. Some of them also were in North Africa, in Morocco, and so forth. They also were the Sephardic Jews, the Sephardim, as they call themselves now. And they say, oh, yes, some of them were, they were a bit proud. No! Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie. They looked like us, right? They were the ones that Nebuchadnezzar took there, and he took them there on purpose, right? Now, because there were Neanderthal blooded people from the north of Spain, yeah, they were the ones who were mixed with the Neanderthals. They were white, Caucasian skin, whatever you want to call it, people. They came down the south and mixed up their blood with those people, and they now saw what these people were capable of. And remember, it's good sometimes to understand history, even if you don't like it, or I don't like all these dates and this and that. But you got to know something to know yourself. In Northern Africa, the Moors, who are people of color, dark brown people, the Berbers, who are people of color and always were people of color, brown people, the Tuaregs, who are people of color, the Arabs, who are people of color, the Muslims, Muslims can be white, brown, every color. It is not a color. And Christians and Jews, they all existed together.
In a community.
Right? In communities. They existed together. And this was the issue, because then the Neanderthals,
they weren't thriving.
Right?
Well.
Those from the north,
literally,
who are now deciding they had now made their own religion, the Roman Catholic religion. They brought it down. What's my man's comment here?
The Jewish people in Israel is a complete fabricated nation. They are all Polish, German, Austrian, and migrated to Israel and converted to Judaism. Yeah, that's what we've been saying.
Yeah, thought the fact.
That's it.
Exactly
But you see, what they tell you. Let me give you the information the way how they put it, because it's interesting. This is my Jewish learning, and this is what they say. Right? According to them, there are many ethnic and religious subgroups within the Jewish community. Right? Now that's where because even the fact that they're putting it across in that manner, but yet
you're trying it.
Just listen. Let me read how they put it. Then you're gonna see where the holes are.
Yeah.
Right? Even Sarah, give me my other glasses. These ones are they're for distance, but they're not good for reading. I want to read this nicely because I want people to understand something here, and then I want to critique it. Sometime today would be good, you know. Before the live is finished.
I don't know why the dog has to be getting himself involved there.
Like this.
Just in case you might want to give him a little stroke on
Oh
our way
yeah,
to
he's
Florida.
got
Sunglasses.
got his paws up.
Yeah,
ready,
look.
'cause he's a boy.
His paws so massive now.
So here's what they say. Since the biblical period, Jews have been, and this now, listen, this is the first lie. They say Jews have been divided into three religious groups, which is, according to them, Kohanim, which is priests, sons of Aaron, who served as priests in the temple. No, because Aaron was the high priest, not priest. Aaron was the high priest. Aaron was still a Levite.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I
He
was
wasn't.
about
It wasn't
to say.
separate. He was a Levite. All who served before God were Levites.
Yeah.
Whatever their job function may have been,
Just about to say.
but they
Yeah,
all
Levite.
were Levites.
Yeah.
Aaron was a Levite.
Yeah.
But they told it was a separation.
no,
No,
separate.
lie. Then they've said the descendants of the tribe of Levi, who also worked in the temple as musicians, singers, guards, gatekeepers. No, they all even had names, but they were all still Levites. Then now they've said, oh, the other Jews were Israelites. It is a lie. The other Jews were not Israelites. The other Jews were Judah.
Yeah.
Judah and Israel were separate, right? From the time that Solomon decided to go off and marry 1,000 women, Judah and Israel were separate because Solomon brought Israel into witchcraft that they couldn't even come out of.
Yeah.
Consultation and discussion with demons.
Yeah.
And God separated them from that time. Judah was Judah and Israel was Israel, and Israel got dissipated into the nation. It's a lie that the three division of categories was no. No, it's not true.
What about the Hebrew original people then?
It's a lie. It's a lie. So then they said, then they talk now about the ethnicities. So here the ethnicities, ethnicities literally basically means family groupings.
Yeah.
Right? But the problem that we have, or we should have with this, is that they're still lying.
Yeah.
Right? They're lying. And
Even the way they use it.
if there's no other reason why I'm doing this live today, is because they're lying.
Yeah.
Right? If we say it 50 times over, I haven't said it enough. They're lying.
Yeah. Lying.
Right? So understand the lies. According to them, they have now, Jews from Germany and Eastern Europe are known as Ashkenazim. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, you're speaking of there.
But they're not Jews.
No,
They are Israelis.
Yeah.
If they say Israelis, they're correct.
Yeah.
Israelis from Eastern Europe and Germany are Ashkenazim.
Yeah.
They're not Jews. Much of what in America, listen. Much of what in America is thought of as Jewish is, bagels, Yiddish, the black hats are actually specific to Ashkenazi culture.
Yeah.
And this is what I said the other day. When you see them, you see them in those ugly looking black suits.
in the full black suits.
You understand?
The
The type of black hat and so forth.
They wear like a sun
It's
hat
an
or
Eastern European cultural thing, right?
You still see people in like
You know,
Russia and them places
and
wearing their fluff
that's
hats
right.
now.
Yeah.
And then they've got two different types as well, depending on how orthodox they are.
Yeah.
And they have a different type of
hat.
hat.
Yeah.
Some of them have a sort of a trilby looking one,
Yeah.
a bowler hat type thing, and some of them have some big old bear hat that's all furry and
That
but at the end of the day,
box
it
on
is
their head.
Eastern European culture.
Yeah. and
Here's
that's
what
where
I
their
said.
Traditional dress comes
Here's
from.
what I said
Yeah.
even the other day. Oh, I see people properly. I get tall, you know. Here's what I said the other day when we were doing Bible study, and I said, "You see these people, right? So You see these people, knowing how hot it is in Israel, right?
Because that's all
Are you trying to tell me, right? And remember, Israel is right next to Egypt. You see me? Right next to.
So hotter than Morocco.
Right? It is right next to. Though
yeah.
according to them, but it's Middle Eastern. I don't know what. Right?
You ever said don't get triggered now?
Ah, I want to know. They're wearing this
yeah, this big
this
trench coat,
big trench coat,
full
black trench coat,
yeah.
a big turban on the.
And you're wearing that in
on their
Morocco.
head, right? And you're wearing that because you're trying to tell me, you're trying to lie to me that is the traditional dress.
Yeah.
For well, okay, it might be traditional dress for Jewish people.
Yeah, you're
but
right.
For Judah, you're a liar.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Because sorry, but let's just think about this logically, right?
It's a lie.
I've been to Morocco, right? And when I went to Morocco,
Listen,
it was hot. Yeah, and that's Morocco, not no next to Egypt.
Right,
that's at the top, the north, right at the pinpoint of Africa.
Not next to
It
Egypt.
was-
And Egypt.
Listen,
Egypt is very hot.
it was like 40 something degrees, just on a casual, like everyday
That's like in the morning.
Yeah, morning time it was like 35, going upwards. I'd wake up and it's already 30 something degrees, and that was morning time. You couldn't wear no fur coat, no jacket, no nothing. You might be able to wear a little long sleeve linen top, very loose, thin materials you could wear if you were wearing fully clothed, but not a big whole suit and a big jacket. This is why they're over there getting skin cancer and dying.
And here's the next lie. Okay, please read it.
They are very organized. They build their own hospitals and schools. I know I have put cranes on their hospitals in Golders Green.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Because,
we know.
they have to support
But
themselves.
they have to support themselves because of the way how they're supposed to live
Yeah.
as a community. But those people, those ones who are saying that they are the Jews, they're lying.
Interesting discussions.
They're lying. Here. Let me give you another bit of what they say.
Hey.
My Jewish learning. Yeah, they say Jews from Spain, and the Iberian Peninsula, and the Spanish diaspora are known as Sephardim, which I mentioned already.
Yeah.
Yes, they're correct, but now here's where the lie comes, because those ones who went there, Nebuchadnezzar brought them there, right? The ones that Nebuchadnezzar brought there, I don't know what that says.
I'm on the phone yet.
Go on.
In places like that, even in their winter months, you'd absolutely be dying wearing one of those furry things.
But this is what I'm saying.
But listen to this. Those places, those Jews, who were taken there by Nebuchadnezzar, and that would be in the what do you call that? Would be the 7th century. You know, way before that time.
Good evening, family. Keep talking the truth. They ain't no Jews. They're fake.
Those people who were taken there by Nebuchadnezzar, they looked like me, Tamar, and Angelica.
Yeah.
Anybody who says anything different, you are a liar.
Yeah.
Those were the ones who went there. And you come and prove to me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
No, you can't.
You cannot.
I listened to a so-called rabbi recently. And you know, I think Tamar listened to the same thing. So he was questioned. He said, "Okay, can you give us the background of the Sephardim?"
Yeah.
So he said, "Well, you know," he said, "Actually, my family background is Ashkenazi." So we knew. We said, "Yes, your background. Yeah, we'll read it in a minute. We know your background is Ashkenazi." But he said, "Now, what are you saying about Sephardim?"
Yeah.
So he went around and around the bushes trying to say that there was, you know, sipping his tea and all this, trying to avoid saying that they're people of color.
Yeah.
He did not want to come out and say plainly that they are people of color. So he was going around. He said, "Yes." He said, "Yes, I agree. You know, I can't lie. We'll read it, Israel. Cool, know yourself. You know, he said, I can't lie. Yes, you know, Ashkenazi are like 97% of the Jews in America, and their roots are Eastern European. He said it.
Yeah.
And he said the Sephardim, their roots are different. But now you see the Sephardim that they present to you in the public, they look like the Ashkenazi.
Yeah.
Just that now they have a different language. They speak Ladino.
Yeah. All I feel that they've done is like what they did in Portugal and Brazil. All they've done to those Sephardic Jews now is basically wash out the blood.
Whited them out. You know how they did that. The same way how they did with the transatlantic slave trade.
Because I watched this thing, and this lady's daughter, she was Ashkenazi Jew. And she said, yeah, I'm Ashkenazi Jew. You know, when we came to America in some far back time, her family. And she said that her daughter was getting married to this man who was a Sephardic Jew. And she was saying, oh, this is really good for our community because it brings us together and all these things. And in my head, I was just thinking, of course, that's good for your community, because then that means more Ashkenazi Jewism going over the top of the Sephardic. Because as you already know, in their culture, you're Jewish from your mother, aren't you? So then all of her children would be Ashkenazi, not Sephardic.
That's right. There's a couple of comments there. Read Israel's one and then come down.
The tribes of Levi and Judah has been found in Africa, in Ethiopia and South Africa.
That's right.
The true Jews are clearly in Africa. There's also a strong community of Jews in India and surrounding Asian areas. Some Ethiopian Jews have migrated to Israel and they are treated like dirt by the Israelis. Lemba Israelites in South Africa have the Kosian gene and Levitical gene tracing back to the priesthood. These communities of Jews in Ethiopia, India, South Africa, etc., have been practicing Judaism for near on thousands of years.
Right then.
Go on.
And the next one.
I said sorry because it was wrong.
Oh yeah.
No,
it's a good
it's
one.
good information that people need to know.
Yeah. What's this? Forever. Look up 2K.
Second Kings, maybe it must be, isn't it?
Book of Second Kings.
17, verse 17 to 24. The Sephardic were introduced to Israel and became the Samaritans.
Right.
And Nesville said, "Yeah, right. Whited them out."
Right. And what Trevor was saying, we talked about it maybe before he came.
I think before he came
on, he was saying that they were sown in.
Yeah.
You know, the Assyrians, when they invaded Israel, they sowed in these other nations on purpose. Right? Now, that doesn't mean to say that they could not become converts. We're not.
No,
that's not even what we're trying to say.
Is not the point.
But when we're now talking about bloodline issues, they're not the people.
No, they're not.
Right? So the so-called State of Israel, and whoever is there who's occupying it and who should be occupying it, this is what's questionable. Now, what I was saying, the
info you are discussing is covered in my book, Black Skin Royal Identity.
Cool. People can look for it.
Yeah.
And you see, when they what they've said here, let me read another bit of their propaganda.
I think there's a bird in the garden.
Yeah. They've said that the Sephardic Jews enjoyed a golden age of harmony with Christians and Muslims in Spain that lasted for about 200 years. When the Jews were exiled from Spain and Portugal at the end of the 15th century, they fled to other areas of the world, bringing their unique traditions, including their language. Now, okay, let's straighten that out a little bit. The first part of what they said is true.
Yeah.
They did enjoy harmony. They enjoyed harmony because basically they were the same people in terms of how they looked.
Yeah.
Right. And I keep pointing that out because it's important that people understand that.
Yeah. And their
now
beliefs were close.
when they then said that they want those people out, and again it was this Ferdinand and Isabella, the Neanderthals from the north.
Monobrow woman,
right,
as I call her.
You know, the cave dwelling people who came down and said, right, you've done all this here, you've built all these roads, you have libraries, street lighting, and all these things. We want it, and you people must go. So then off goes Christopher Columbus, pretending to sail in the wrong direction, which is an absolute lie. Boom, and arrives at the West Indies. Oh yeah, this is a good place for them. And lo and behold, you know, and remember, this was all contrite. I mean, I'm condensing it.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
but before that time, just to put it in context, they took people, some of the children and people, and they put them in the west coast of Africa. They took them from the Iberian Peninsula, and they took them to the west coast of Africa, and they dumped them there. Then later, when they've now found where they can now use them as slaves, they have now gone to collect them from the west coast of Africa and bring them to the Caribbean, right? And remember, initially, it was the Portuguese and the Spanish who began slavery. The British took it to an absolute different level altogether. But it was the Portuguese and Spanish who began it, and we know why.
And that's why, because it's stated, isn't it, about how majority of the slaves they were picking them up from the west coast of Africa. Why? Because that's where they dropped them off.
And the first people of color, you know, I'm talking in terms of Europeans, by the way. The first Europeans of color who went to the Spanish West Indies went as free men. They went as free people.
Larkin says, it is amazing Satan raised people to commit such atrocities and over centuries tried to bury truth.
The Church of Rome is a key culprit in all of these.
Oh yes, they are the ones. They are the ones.
Ferdinand and Isabella made expelling the black Jews to the Caribbean, Africa, and Santa Mayo. There is a clear text that says the Jews of Portugal and Spanish are known as negros.
That's right. That's right.
But
And that terminology, Negro, was birthed from the Portuguese and the Spanish. You see, now those people who deny all of this, oh well, you know, we've got the State of Israel. Shut up!
I'm not praying for that.
Who?
Not for that.
Which State of Israel? They're not. None of them should be there. And if they're there, let them. In fact, when they say that they're Israelis, actually, well done. You're Israelis, but you're not Judah, and you're not Jews. Well done, you're Israelis. Carry on with that.
Nobody's got a problem with you being Jewish or you following any faith that you wish to or whatever. But when you pretend
that you are the people, we are the people of the book. No, you're not. You're liars. You're converts. And some of them carry the bloodline, but it's the bloodline of Israel, which was already mixed. You see, and that's what we have to understand. This is all about putting out the truth out there. Nothing more. This is not about fighting against anyone or trying to say that, listen, we don't like you because you're not this and we're this and we're better than. No, it's nothing like that. But it's about the truth being known, because when even so-called churches are condemning those who don't pray for the prosperity of Israel and all this stuff, what am I doing that for?
When I make a comment,
right? Because I say that the Palestinians have a right. I say that the Palestinians have a right also. Listen, I'm not talking about religion now, by the way, or what faith. I'm talking about the liars who are occupying the land. And they're occupying it with lies. And they're occupying it as fake people. And saying it's because the Lord is the one who would have us. Which Lord? Which Lord?
What needs to be made clear.
Which Lord?
It's not Jehovah. It's Satan.
Which Lord?
Who's telling them what to do and where to go.
They must stop with
that.
Which
is why when the Ethiopian Jews, real Jews, are trying to come back, they're not allowed to come there because they'll be unearthing too much truth. Don't even. Anyway.
Israel Sali had a history teacher who was Israeli Jewish, and he himself admitted that his family and certain Jewish families come from Roman converts.
Well,
that's right, and that's even worse.
Yeah, it is.
The deal they made for expulsion was made with King
John of Portugal. That's right.
As a
condition for marrying the daughter and uniting
Yeah.
the throne of Spain and Portugal. Ferdinand and Isabella married their daughter to King John of Portugal. That's correct.
Didn't we already go through this?
When? Today?
No, not today.
No,
Oh,
not today.
No,
We did on
so-
another
Yeah.
thing.
because we touched on it. a
We
bit,
touched
didn't
on
we?
it.
Yeah.
But what Trevor is saying is correct anyway, and
Yeah.
that's the whole point of it. That these are all the things that people are trying to overlook.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because what's the explanation for such things?
You know, and so because just lately I've heard a lot about supporting the State of Israel,
People
the
are
nation
going on hard
Israel,
about
this and that.
Israel thing.
I'm not supporting
Let
that.
it go.
I'm not supporting
Allow that.
rubbish.
Yeah.
I'm not
Why is
supporting
this just
lies.
popping up
But
now
the thing is, Dad, what we were speaking about before, because I told you already about that documentary which you've seen,
Mm.
where that man who was a rabbi, as they call him, so a teacher and a
Mhm.
scholar of
The one in London.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he lived in London, and his yard was getting mashed up. They're throwing bricks in his house. They're spray painting on his walls,
Mhm.
on his front door. All these things. He can't even go to the shop hardly without them cussing him out, and all of this because he doesn't support the State of Israel. And
Yeah.
he said there's nowhere in the Bible where it tells him
where they should be
where
there.
that they should be there.
They're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, he said so until God tells him or gives him a new revelation, he's not interested.
And he
refuses
he
to
refuses
teach it.
to teach that.
Yeah.
And he also knows that he's a convert.
Yeah. And he accepts that.
Yeah.
He doesn't try to pretend or give a false narrative to people. And the community that he actually has is so small. Like when you see how many people were on his side and how many people were on the other side, because he then went to a protest, and these people, they weren't even sorry, but if you're supposed to be Jewish, you're just looking like people from up the road out to have a bit of a shout for the day. You know what I mean? And he's like, you are disgusting. We need to support Israel.
What
it's
for?
just this. Well, you know
what
why,
to
Dad?
support?
Because
What
that
to
is
support
why.
the lies?
But listen, that's why when you look back at it, that is the full-on reasoning for the Holocaust. To have some sort of emotional blackmailing tactic against people to justify, oh, they need their own land because they went through the Holocaust and they were killed and etc. etc. And anytime you say anything, people now are obsessed with the Holocaust business. I understand the Holocaust happened. Lots of nasty things happen in the world. I don't see any sort of reparations or land for us.
The Jews were expelled, a lot of them, to San Tome, and if you know now examine who lives there, it's all people of color. So what is a true Jew? A melanated person, not a European.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Trevor. You have literally
100%. That's it.
Condensed it into one.
That's it, because that's what we were saying, that if you look at where they put them, where they expelled them to, right, then that's how you know who
and have a look.
Who it is that's there.
Yeah.
Now the issue is very plain and simple.
How do we get your book to buy?
I think if you maybe go on his page.
Well, Trevor will tell him just now. Trevor will tell him. But you see, the thing is this: that some people say, "Wow, why are you talking about that? Why not?
Yeah,
because we don't. First of all, the main reason, as I said at the beginning of this, is because I don't like liars. Right? Tell the truth.
Fabrication of lies.
We don't like the lies, and we exactly, and the devils, them out there, and we're not going to be fooled by it. So whatever they're telling you, you are this and you are that, because all these things all feed back to the same principle, that they want you to think that you were never anything, and that the narrative about your life begins with slavery. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't at all.
No,
and
it
this
doesn't.
is the story I keep telling. Where were we before slavery? Where we were.
And the thing is that they wanted to make it look like
no one existed.
And actually, you all came out of every person of color came from Africa only. Shut up!
Lies.
It's a lie.
Really?
It's a lie.
All you have to do is go all these places: Morocco, Portugal, what's it called? Southern Spain, even southern Italy, the same thing, and even the small islands that consist around these places. What do the people look like? They are brown.
They're brown. Why are they brown?
Yeah, why?
If they ain't got none of our, if they don't have any of our blood in them, why are they brown?
Exactly.
Their features, even some of them North Brad like from here.
Yeah. What's going on in them places in Portugal, Brazil? Everyone, nearly 100% of the population is brown, and that's a fact. That's not even anything to be disputed.
No, there's no dispute.
Yeah, where did that brown
because
come from?
they're the people. Listen,
from there.
Historically, let's leave aside religion for 1 second. For those who don't believe in anything or whatever you want to call it, let's look at things from an anthropomorphic position. Yes, it's a nice, tasty word. Isn't it? Let's look at it only from that point of view. The first humans, and I said humans, not Neanderthals or Denisovans, right? Bear that in mind. Those who don't know what Neanderthals and Denisovans are, go look. Right? But the first modern humans on the face of the earth were like this.
Brown.
You understand? The first modern human to step foot in Europe looked like this.
Even
the first modern human to step into England looked like this.
Yeah.
So don't try to tell us that we weren't there first, and then so and who and what and where came there before us.
Never.
And Christopher Columbus and this one and that one. Shut up with your lies.
From the beginning,
stop it.
The lies can be literally dissipated within seconds. Think about it logically.
Stop it.
If Christopher Columbus is a traveler, an explorer, and a sailor, how?
And he had cartographers with him
who had brown skin. Look it up. It's a fact. You can find it. They had brown skin and they spoke native languages. Isn't that interesting? Suddenly,
or as Trevor put it, melanated.
Yeah, melanated people.
You know, I don't like to use the term black.
No, neither do I. Which is why I don't say it. Yeah, these people were melanated. Yeah, of however various shades, whatever shade they were. That's not even important. The shade of tone or whatever. And Christopher somehow. He's sailing, he's enjoying his time, and then suddenly just, we've gone to the wrong place. Well, better just have a look anyway, innit? No, even that lie. When you think about it deeply, how is that possible that you had cartographers, people that can read maps? He is an explorer himself,
that's right.
And suddenly you've ended up in the wrong location.
Lie.
No, I don't think so.
It's lie.
The Holocaust was 6 years approximately. Terrible thing. However, we suffered 400 years and still. Deuteronomy 26:68. We are the only ones who have gone into slavery by ships. He says his book is on Amazon, and they are brown because of 50 years of Hannibal the Conqueror.
For real. He's written
and he's put something else which
is
along the lines of what I said, I think. Okay.
Man is a lot of things. Human.
Yeah.
Man with color is not everyone is human. Neanderthals, yeah. Now in the world you discover somewhere someone already lives.
How do you discover
that's what we're saying?
Because it's even America. If you think, Christopher Columbus discovered America.
It reminds me of that Dominican guy with the skip.
But when you really look into it, what happened in America? There was already brown people there living their life, enjoying their time. And they came there, pillaged, raped, and killed everybody. Yeah. And it's not they had a nice
the Native
dinner,
Americans.
like what they try to pretend with this Thanksgiving rubbish. Don't even get this stuff. A disgusting holiday and an evil thing that people continuously celebrate.
All these so-called church people.
Celebrating
Thanksgiving. Cut it out, rubbish.
Cut that out now, immediately.
Rubbish.
Yeah. That's worse than Christmas.
Nonsense.
I'm sorry,
the whole of them, all of them.
Yeah,
Christmas,
all of them.
Forget it.
Babylon things.
And we're not even on that today. But
drop
it. Don't even try to. I'm not. I've seen. Well, anyway, Trevor was having some.
Yeah, Trevor was
Being-
having some serious debate for me.
a certain person was riding the thing,
Mhm.
and I thought I could comment, but you know what? I said I won't, and the basic reason why I said I wouldn't is because I don't have time for it, because some people think that they're so clever till they turn idiots.
Yeah. You
And
can't
I
tell them
hope
anything.
everybody understood what I said.
You
meant
can't
by that,
reason with them.
right?
No, you
they
can't.
think they are too far,
Yeah.
too intellectual. But listen,
I always say you
this
can't
thing
force them
doesn't
to
come
Jesus.
by intellect.
No, it
It
doesn't.
comes by revelation,
For real.
right? So all those I have a PhD and an
Enjoy your
ABC.
PhD.
Go on with your PhD and
Enjoy
your
your
ABC.
ABC element.
You know,
No one can.
go with that, right? Because that's you're never gonna
That's
see
on
it.
the earth. Anyway.
You're never gonna see it. And the problem as well, when people are using things, okay, don't get me wrong, not every single thing that's written is rubbish.
Of course not.
Just because it's not maybe the Bible. However, you can't take the Roman Catholic teachings and bring that to me and tell me that this is which God is that?
Yeah.
Roman Catholic is not even a church.
No, it's not.
Right? But the Roman Catholics instated this, and the Roman Catholics said that this time of year is for this, and that is this for that.
And
And
they
guess
must
what?
do this.
They need to keep quiet.
Yeah, you must do this for that, and you
No.
must do that for that.
What are they? They're rituals.
Yeah,
No.
rituals. That's exactly
They're
it.
wrong.
They are rituals because
and
we know where the roots came from.
One thing that somebody had said before, and I looked at it and I said, interesting. The Roman Catholics,
Yeah.
right? I mean, just the name alone tells you something,
Yeah.
right? I mean, come on, the name alone tells you something.
Roman.
But what they did up to that point, Rome were pagans,
Yeah.
right? And we know what that form of paganism was. Mars, Jupiter, and all the rest of them,
Yeah.
right? So
Planet
now,
worship.
when they decided now to amalgamate themselves into Christianity,
Yes.
they had to now marry the two things together, right? They had to make them match. So what did they do? They went around building churches on top of pagan temples, pagan sites where they had previously been practicing witchcraft, where they had previously been worshipping these demons. They went and built a church there.
Yeah.
Go and look.
Go and have a look.
If you think I'm
literally
lying,
there,
go
evidence.
look.
Because I was shocked.
That's
when I
why
found out these
that's
things.
why that nasty place there in France had to burn down. And within weeks, not Notre Dame Cathedral, and within days they're ready to build it.
Yeah.
And look how it looks, because it's a place of demonic power.
Of course it is. Have you seen all them things that are outside of
Satanic
it?
power.
Them statues or
And
whatever.
that is the thing. They had to marry the two things together. So that's why they came up with all the nonsense that they did, because they had to marry. Now there are people who are disputing that, say, oh, no, that's not right. You don't know what you're talking. That's not how it goes, because it is how it goes. They married the two things together so that they could please both sides.
Yeah.
That's why they came up with, Easter and Christmas and all these things, marrying the two things together.
The pagans want to worship this, but then the Christians need something to worship. And if we don't bring them together, then what's going to happen is the more Christian people, they're going to get wiped out, the pagans, which is what they knew. Their traditions and their values and them as a people would be wiped out, or they would be pushed underground, because as we already know in general, even in normal society now, people that may act like they accept witchcraft and all that, but if it was in their face, they wouldn't accept it. They would be scared, or they would try to run it away, or kill it up, as they show in the films. They would be trying to kill all the witches, just like they were back in the old days.
And they were really.
And they were killing people.
They had
Even a suspicion they was killing people.
Yeah, exactly.
And they was
drowning them in the wells and all this kind of thing. So they had to disguise themselves.
Yes.
Right? Because at the end of the day,
society,
they knew. And remember, okay, I'm saying remember because some people should know, but many don't.
Yeah.
The Roman Catholic Church was founded by Simon the Sorcerer.
Right.
who was a Samaritan.
You want to go have a look where
Right.
who
Go and
enjoys
then
Simon the Sorcerer's collection and
Simon
books.
Magus, Simon the Sorcerer.
That's his other name.
Right. And that is not John Chambers making up a story. Go check it out. The Roman Catholic Church was founded by Simon the Sorcerer. And he's right. And he's found right there in the Bible in the book of Acts chapter 8, I believe. And they told him what his end would be.
Yeah.
Go away with your money and you and your money perish.
Yeah.
And until today we're on the same thing.
Yeah.
The biggest mafia in the world is the Roman Catholic Church.
Yes.
In the name of by the name of the Jesuits.
Yes.
They are the number one mafia of the world.
Yeah.
And again,
killing people.
as a Jamaican would say, "Minar tek but mitar."
For real.
Go and check it.
Go look who the
Go
Pope
and
is.
look.
Go look who he's connected to. Go look at what he does. Go look at where them special red shoes that he likes to wear come
please.
from. Yeah. I can't even get into it because
And
it's
why
sickening.
he wears them.
It's sickening.
Read Trevor's comment.
Oh yeah. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing book.
ISIS papers.
Yeah, it's called ISIS Papers, which points out they went everywhere and met brown people. As a result, they fear being blacked out, as they probably call it. Mixing for the Euro is annihilation. Yeah. They fear us because as I've been speaking this for a long time now, we are the majority, not the minority. Yeah. And that is their biggest fear. Because what would happen is there would be a very small number of pale skinned people.
But that's why they was interested in diluting it out in the first place.
Exactly. Because already Isabella and Ferdinand must have already been thinking, hey, what's going on here? We're in Spain. I'm not even seeing anyone looking like me. Everyone's brown and that. What's going on? Nah.
Substitute Hebrewism. They feared losing business from the idol makers, so many false days replaced true days. Sunday out for Shabbat, Easter for Passover, etc.
Xmas for the Yule dedication. Yuletide and all that business there. Don't even get me started yet. And people think this is a joke. The knowledge is there to be seen and there to be found very easily. All you have to do is search. Because actually, why do you put a Christmas tree in your yard every year with things on it and all of that? Where did that come
with
from?
Balls on it.
Yeah, with balls on it.
Yeah, let's just put it out there plainly as it is. A Christmas tree with balls on it.
Yeah, what they've now changed it to baubles.
What is it?
Yeah. And a star on the top. Oh, but sometimes that's what you find.
Angel.
Yeah.
And listen, here's the thing: every yard man in the world is supposed to know what that Christmas tree represents.
Yeah.
Every yard man's supposed to know.
With balls on it.
You don't know.
That pagan thing. And what was it from? Because it's a sign of fertility.
You know what?
And all
Christmas
of
tree
this.
in my yard.
Yeah. They had recessive genes, so they will disappear if they mix. Exactly, Trevor. That's exactly it. They will literally disappear.
Well, this is Ferdinand and Isabella were going crazy because they're Neanderthals.
Yeah, they knew that.
And they've seen these brown people down in the south. They're prospering and they're doing well. We need them out. So they went down there to, and this is the thing, that they've fooled people until today.
Yeah.
Right. And okay, we don't, if you even want to go and say, well, God, why did he give them what he gave them? Well, I mean, I could say some reasoning about
maybe the world would have been the other way.
I just said we're going to go there, but if you were to say, well, okay, if it was the other way around and the Neanderthal were the people of the book and the other people were the other people, would they have still done the same thing?
Mm.
There's a lot. This is all the questioning that you have to look at because would we treat them the same way that they've treated us? And that's what you have to think about, because my personal view, and again, it is only personal. I'm not telling you it's a revelation from heaven. My personal view as the answer to that is no, we would not.
Or what would we have treated?
Would we have treated them if it was turned around the other way? No, we would not. Because this is part of the reason why they got as far as they got.
Yeah.
Because they were accepted when they found themselves in communities, they were accepted, they were looked after. But they always sat there with something else going on in their mind. You're feeding me, you're smiling with me, you're giving me a diamond, I'm going to take them all.
Yeah.
You've given me one, I want them all. You've given me a piece of gold, I want all.
Yeah.
You understand? And until
it's
today,
still there now.
It's still like that.
Yeah. So that's why anytime when you have some, because even when people want to speak, even when people just have a small discussion, well, if the Jewish people have been given reparations and all of these things, maybe, what we call black people should get some sort of reparation. Boy!
It's a problem.
Those descendants of Columbus and them man there.
They start talking.
They start, why the hell should they be given this? They have no rights to it. That was our ancestors. If that's the case, I should have the rights to this and that and that. Well, you do. Yeah, and that's the point, because look at who is the top of the world in many areas. Yeah, of aristocracy or whatever they would like to call it, because that's where it all stems from. All this aristocracy business is really bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it really is.
And they won't mix their blood.
No.
And they stole their way to get there in the first place.
Yes.
Stole and killed.
That's why. Because I watched this. But this is what I'm saying. Because I watched this documentary last night. Because you know me, I can watch about 10 documentaries in a day if I really wanted to. Well, I watched this documentary last night, and the man was looking into India and the culture and why in the north of India they have a different type of culture to the south of India.
We know why.
Yeah, and the man was saying, and everybody wanted to be white. Everybody has arranged marriage, and it's like a big. He said it was like going to Victorian England in the terms of their value and cultures and what's the word? Their way of society. It was like being in old time England or something like that. That's what he said. What is he?
No one else is a threat to their existence except us. They will willingly mix with anyone except us. Sometimes they need to mix to reboot their fertility. So they like mixed race, but only if it comes back to them.
Trevor!
Smile in your face, something else going on, never as simple as it appears. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's Trevor said, careful now, don't go there, bro. Because you know what I'm talking about, Trevor. That's why you're saying don't go there. Yeah. What you said though, even Trevor, you're saying don't go there, but you're getting
you're already there.
But sometimes they need to mix to reboot their
fertility. Trevor, you're already there.
So what are you saying? Because that's why when you look on television, the programming, is very deliberate. So what you'll find on the program is maybe a dark brown mother or dark brown father. Then what you find is white or white mother or father. Then the children are mixed race. Then when you see the wide scope of the family, the only dark brown person is that one mother or father, and the rest of the family are either very pale brown or white, and that's the narrative. So according to them, that dark brown person doesn't even have a family that connects to their family, so they just drop off into the white family and allow their family all together. Because even there was a KFC advert, and I saw a few brown people, and I thought, this is a bit more normal. You've got a dark brown person here, you've got another dark brown person, you've got a few light brown people. No, I'm watching the rest of the advert. Everybody else is white. There's never any grandparent that's brown. Yeah. What did you say? Pass the cast. There's never any grandparent that's brown or dark or anything like that. Yeah, it doesn't happen. They don't show it on television, and it's for a reason, for this programming. Yeah,
of course it is.
Going back to my original point, because I'm still going to go there, Trevor, about India and and what's going on there. And the man literally
not me,
It's not me. The man said that from the British coming in to India in the north, when of course they had a friendship, as they call it, but it wasn't a friendship. What it was that those people
and the Aryans,
those people and the Aryans were in, coalition together. They were together and they were enjoying that they were both getting lots of money. Let's be real about it. They were enjoying their money and their power, which is why the Indians and the British, as they call them, were friends. But really, they were not friends because the man was even saying in the thing that they came along and they then created the caste system, which meant that certain people could never marry another type of another person that was of a higher caste or a lower caste.
The Aryans who created the caste system.
So then the man said that he couldn't understand why still till now, because this was like a recent documentary as well. I'm talking like I think 2018 or 2019. So just now. And the man said, still till now, these people still operate in the same aristocracy behavior. They don't marry out of their caste. They don't marry a certain type of person. The person has to be of, of course it's all finished. The person has to be of the right skin tone, family line, and social status. Yeah. And even those same original families that had, what's the word? Alliances with the Aryans and the English people are still top of the food chain till now in social status. Even like the what do they call them?
And some of them look like albinos.
Yes, because they're so white, because their blood has been mixed to that level where they don't actually even look like they're an Indian as what you would see as a what's the word? Stereotypical Indian.
Yeah,
they would look like a white person on the road.
Albinos.
Yeah,
completely. And they are the ones who are the Rajis and so forth.
Yeah.
Of course, it's all that. And this is the same reasoning why we said, at the beginning, we do not support the state of Israel.
Yeah.
Because again, it's all contrived around the same narrative, right? It's around because again, we're talking about the same people groups. By the way.
It's
the same bloodline.
It's the same bloodline. Because as Trevor said, many of them are some are in was it Trevor or was it Israel? I can't even keep up with all these comments. I think it was either Israel or Trevor that said that the Jews, actual Jews, are in all different places.
Yeah. As was what the Bible said.
Yes, exactly.
Now the interesting thing is that when now those of color, because now even in that thing, I didn't read the last part of the article that I was looking at there. They said, there are a small number of Jews who are people of color, and I thought, you liars. There are a small number of Jews who are people of color.
No.
And then you see here's the thing, you've got now, and this I've seen this with my own two eyes, a Jewish man, and the man was wearing his, I've even forgotten what they call it. The little sitting on his
yarmulke.
Head.
Yeah.
Yarmulke.
Yeah, yarmulke.
My man is wearing his skull cap. And he's looking at this black, as we call woman, and he's there going, whoa.
Oh, I've seen that. It's disgusting.
And then flew right in her.
He's good.
I mean, it looked like
himself to vomit.
It looked like vomit. And let me tell you, as the Almighty God in heaven is my witness, that man would have been dead.
Yeah, you already know.
Believe me, he would have been dead.
Listen, because that's the thing.
Because from his doing his,
coming close to me.
no, I'd kick him in his mouth straight.
Saying, why are you coming close to me?
I'd kick him in his mouth straight. But he's, and he let him try that.
Yeah,
it's one of my daughters or whatever. Try that. And you're calling yourself Jewish. Stay there with your ish.
And that's supposed to be somebody that is. They're supposed to be people that are from the book.
No, not them people.
Them.
The Aryan Indians came into India, met the dark skins, and turned the table to make the dark skin undesirable. Yeah, they did, and literally used those words. For all black women who despise their skin color, be comfortable with your skin. Melanated is the best skin. Melanin worth $375 a gram. They need us, not the other way around. I've been saying this from time. There was a theory that the white skin comes from. What's that say? Yeah.
Gehazi,
Because
the leprosy.
arose where one goes white is first magnified in the subcontinent of Africa.
India. Yes, that's true. It was.
Boy.
It was.
But why would they be, trying to recreate
Yeah, did you close the
melanin
door?
and selling it if it wasn't so great?
You left it open. The back door.
Yeah, if the melanin ain't
I'm
so
coming,
great,
I'm
why are they
coming,
trying to
I'm
bottle it and sell it?
Trevor said, no violence.
He's talking about me kicking the man.
Yeah, of course. Nah, but
No,
that man
that
was
should have been met with
disgusting
violence.
because that's not
That,
even a.
you don't do
You
that.
can't. How can you call yourself somebody? You're supposed to be the true
From
follower,
the book.
the true
From
follower
which
of,
book?
of Jehovah.
But
Yeah?
they're not.
You're a
That's
true
evidence.
descendant of the original tribes.
He's not.
Yeah, you're from the Judah tribe, supposedly. This is what they believe and this is what they say, right? And then you're spitting or vomiting on somebody because their skin is brown and they're telling you you're a liar or you're not the true person, maybe,
Yeah,
or I'm
right.
the true person. Now you must vomit on them. And that's supposed to be normal. That just shows you how satanic and disgusting it is. Of course, truth hurts. People don't want to hear the truth, which is why they all love it. You're anti-Semitic. Because anytime you say anything now, and I mean anything, you could just be, I'm not really, I'm not really feeling that.
What does it mean?
You're anti-Semitic. It's wrong.
Because that's not even a real thing, though.
Listen, that
It's not
anti-Semitic,
even a real
what
thing,
they-
I'm sorry.
Basically, all it is that, yeah, it comes from that. Yeah, from the Shemite. All they're basically saying is that you don't agree with their false narrative, so that's wrong. Because you don't agree, so you're wrong. Yeah, and you got people like Joe Biden, who is a self-proclaimed Zionist. Yeah, who is trying to pretend that he wants to help these people. Of course, you want to help these people. Which ones? The fake ones. That's the ones you want to help.
Them
Because
Ashkenazi,
they're
the ones. Yeah.
That's why they want to help them, and that's why it's all help Israel.
Yeah.
And all this help Israel, but yet the what's his name now? The president or whatever, or the prime minister, whatever he's called.
Yeah.
No, of Israel.
Oh.
Is having arguments and issues over whether he should be allowing the original bloodline Ethiopian Jews into Israel. But it's all right anyway. Maybe it's God's blessing in disguise. They don't need to go there.
They don't recreate it. They kill our people and take it. Yeah, I know that.
Henrietta Lapau.
Yeah, she was killed and their cells are hijacked. But they've been doing that all the while. What's all the little these little kids of color that are going missing?
Yeah,
that's what
because
they're doing.
Majority of them are either what would you call it? Oh, they say they like the blonde haired, blue eyes. But what people don't actually realize is that blonde haired, blue eyes is albinism from the melanated people. Yeah, that's where that what would you call it? It's what's it called? It's a genetic what's the word?
What, when the skin goes like
yeah,
like that?
Yeah, it's like a genetic I can't think of the word. No, not condition. No, it's not albino. It's a genetic thing that happens.
Yes, exactly. No ish person is Semitic.
Who's that?
Yeah, Trevor talking about, because I was saying about how anything you have to say against the state of Israel and their lies, or you're anti-Semitic and all of this, right? But they don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, no ish. Yeah, that's what I said. And he says no ish person is Semitic. No. He said they're Japhetic.
Yes.
Even the there are Palestinians who are
Semitic.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I'm saying the real occupiers, who they should be, if they were to say that they share the bloodline,
that's the word I was looking for.
You know,
Forever.
Those are the ones.
Mutation.
The ones who share the bloodline are the ones who can say that they are what do you call it? That they are Shemitic. Right? And so this is what I'm saying, that they put these things out there as a confusion.
Mhm.
So that literally, because this is what they want you to fight yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you now speak and you say that some of the things that we're saying, they would turn around and tell us, oh, you are, this is anti-Semitic
Yeah.
rhetoric and all of this.
Mhm.
Why? Because they want to tell you that you don't come from that bloodline.
Yeah.
They want to tell you that you come from Ham.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now there are people of color who come from the Hamite bloodline, but
Of course.
Not us.
it's another story. Trevor knows where I'm coming from with that as well. But this is where they've brought the confusion deliberately to then tell people, go and do the DNA kit test, and then
That's lies as
we'll
well.
tell you that you come from Africa. Shut up. Because even what you're telling people by telling them that is not helpful.
No, it's not.
Because
There's somewhere on there it
because
asks you.
even when we
so
go
you
deeper,
confirm that you're of colour before they answer.
not everybody comes from the Ham
I don't
bloodline.
understand how that could even be put. And
So
Because all brown people came from the same place only. That's why.
that's what they're trying to tell you.
yeah, and every time when people say these
They need
things,
to stop.
I have to ask them the same question. Australia, Wagwan. Where did they
They don't have
come
no
from?
answer because that's
Yeah,
Because that's not
that's why they tried to kill them all off.
Yeah. And try to dilute them as well,
Because they
because
wanted to
even
wipe it
some
out.
of them have been
So they wouldn't be
diluted.
seen.
But there's
And
still
the same
lots
and the
of
same
them.
thing.
Manage it over there.
The same thing with Central America and Southern America.
Yeah.
And I've seen people, they call them these are the Indians that want to, the Native Americans and all this.
Native Indian.
I have seen people in Central America who are darker than me,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
darker than me. Them,
So
in
have
fact,
I.
they look like Indians from the other, the other side.
Because I remember Antonio's
Sri Lankan.
dad, and he was from, that Portugal, Spain, southern, that Latin,
Iberian Peninsula.
Iberian Peninsula, and nowhere else. They weren't from Africa, nowhere else like that. And he was dark.
So they're liars.
Yeah.
So where
And
else?
we're not
He
being-
made it clear. He even used to tell me like, no, we didn't come from anywhere else.
They're from
We're
there.
from here.
Yeah, we're not fooled anymore.
No, it's not working.
We're not fooled anymore. So all those who are jumping up and down support Israel, blah blah blah. Stop it. 'Cause
Enjoy it.
We're not supporting
But
it.
God is already. Do you think? What's is Trevor put here?
Ham is the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes.
Mhm.
Zondervan Christian Dictionary. So are there two kinds of black? Who are the Negroes? Black people in diaspora.
In this story, yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We know.
That's
And
exactly
they've tried
it,
they've
isn't
tried
it?
to twist the whole narrative of all of this, and made the Jewish issue the focal point because they tell you 6 million Jews, blah 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 blah. A lot
How
more
many
more
million?
people of color
Yeah. How many
came out,
million?
were ripped out of Africa and Europe
Yeah.
and pushed into the Caribbean in particular and America later on. It was many more millions than that. So I'm not interested in anything that they have to say. I don't care.
No.
And when I say I don't care, I mean I don't care. I don't want to hear it.
Exactly.
Seriously, I don't want to hear
Because
it.
at the end of the
Because
day,
you're talking rubbish.
why do we have to? Everybody wants to talk. Oh, slavery is finished now.
But
That's everyone's
But
main.
is it though?
That's everyone's main.
That's their
argument.
argument
Yeah.
all the time.
Slavery's done long time. Why are we still talking about? Holocaust?
Why we still? But not even just that.
Did
Not
we
even
get
just that.
reparations? Slaves didn't
Not
get no
even just that.
reparations.
All on the one. Just recently, people from Egypt have gone into Israel, and the dirty Prime Minister William
I can't remember his name.
Netanyahu
That's it.
told
Yeah.
them they must come out and go back where they
Yeah.
came from.
No,
No,
this is where they came from.
he should go back where he came from because they've come home.
Yeah.
So why don't you get to Siberia or Germany,
Netanyahu was a Neanderthal blood. You
wherever?
can see it. His eyebrows are thick,
Yes.
and he's got that
Yeah,
the-
and
the
they're the
hump-
only ones
that hump in the
That's
eyebrows.
the funniest
The
thing.
tick.
They're the only ones that are in power in Israel in the first place.
Yeah.
Of course
exactly.
they are, because that's where the Zionism comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
right?
not,
And
not a
and
coincidence.
Israel is Zionism. It's
Yeah.
not. It's got
not.
nothing to do with Judaism.
No, it
Nothing
It's
hasn't.
Zionism,
It's Zionism.
and
Yeah.
Zionism is evil.
Yeah.
It is of the devil.
Ham is black, but
Yes.
so is Shem. Yeah.
Right then.
They tried to manipulate or melanating people into thinking we're from Ham because Ham was cursed, but nothing nuggers. But yeah, the Israeli Jewish are just making a false claim to being Jews because the scripture says that the tents of Judah shall be saved first. Yeah, they can
Yeah.
keep believing that though, because
They're obsessed with claiming this blessing that isn't
it's
theirs.
not theirs.
And
And then
they've
I
been
go get
obsessed
it.
with it for too long.
Well, that's
now.
why it's not working for them.
Of course, but that's why they're dying from skin cancer.
Yeah.
They have
That's not where
problems
they belong.
within their
Yeah.
community
The
that
sun-
they
the sun
don't.
is-
Don't belong
Yeah,
to.
that they don't show. That all because the thing is as well, right? Is like I said, I watch a lot of documentaries, and I even watch like those type of little programs that people think you wouldn't really watch.
Yeah.
Like
I
recently, I
I
started
purposely
watching
watch
this
them.
thing.
I watch
Um,
all of them.
About the the Jewish people in
Yeah.
Israel and what goes on in their community and their social life, etc. with marriage.
They are
They're just
racist.
disgusting.
Of course.
Disgusting.
Racist.
Racistness. Oh, you can't marry this girl if she's looking like this. Oh no, she's too brown, and oh
Yeah,
no,
but
she's
they
too
even say
fair.
that
Why don't want
within
to
their
marry
own
a
families.
Sephardic girl and all these kind of things. Yeah, then it's
Yeah.
no, you must marry this kind of woman. If she's divorced or she's widowed, you cannot marry her because of this, and this. Oh,
They're bringing bleaching cream to their daughters at
Yeah,
a certain age because
yeah.
you must be this.
but that's
Yeah.
that's how they do
Yeah,
it.
because they
Yeah,
don't want
They
their
don't
skin
care. They
to
don't
look darker.
care.
They want it to be as light as
Yeah.
possible because they've got an agenda to push.
Yeah, and then
You
all
see?
this evilness is literally spewing out of them because you've got these rabbis that are raping at children
Mhm.
all the time,
The boys.
and all these little boys and all these little things raping children, doing all these things, right?
That's right, Trevor. They do that. They do.
What?
Call us monkeys.
Call us monkeys
openly.
openly.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
And they're the ones that look like
But
monkeys.
we're the monkeys, but yet you lot are out here. You're supposed to be teachers.
Not straight.
You're supposed to be teachers and followers of Jehovah and the book. That's
Am I
what we're
there?
given.
Look down.
Go
Left. Oh, down.
down a bit.
Left.
Yeah. Yeah, these are supposed to be, followers of Jehovah and followers of the Bible. Yet you are
Well, I don't see
allowing
none of them behaviours in there.
rapists, abusers,
But you see,
and all these
but
things.
Tamar, you know why? Because it's Zionism,
Yeah.
right? I said, and we're going to done soon anyway. We've gone over
Yeah,
this.
it's gone over.
Oh yeah, we have.
Because we're clapping this subject hard.
That's why.
You know,
Yeah.
But listen, let me tell you something. I'm not gonna give people too much information about Zionism. Go look it up, and
It's out there.
you'll find out. The man
You'll
who
be in shock.
founded Zionism was a non-God-fearing homosexual.
Mhm.
That's where it came from.
Mhm.
So you got to know what that means,
Yeah.
right? Because remember, they're saying that this is all based around them being the people of the book, the people of God. Well, God don't support homosexual.
No.
You understand? Let me make that clear. Neither in the Old Testament nor the New Testament, he doesn't support that.
And he's not supporting
Right.
non-believers.
And so here's my next. If you would like to put a knife to it, because I'm happy to say that again. He doesn't support it.
No.
But Zionism was founded by a non-God-fearing homosexual. Right? Go check it out, see if I'm lying. Right?
And now the president
And-
of the United States
He's a
is
Zionist.
Zionist. And all this stuff that's going on, right? You've got these so-called Israeli soldiers
Mm.
killing off Palestinians, raping off the women,
Yeah.
raping off the Palestinian girls, and all these things. Listen,
That portrait of you and the red beard looks a bit ish.
Which portrait?
I don't even know which portrait it's talking about.
Look at one.
This one, your profile picture.
Oh,
is
maybe
in there.
profile picture.
He's just jealous.
Trevor, man, you know, he thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes.
About met a little bit
He's
of
looking
ish.
good.
Well, I do have a bit of ish in my veins, actually, Trevor. Actually, because on my grandmother's side, they're actually Ashkenazi.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's actually fact.
There you go. That's not me.
go. For me,
That's not me. That's her mother speaking.
I was on about when you came
to the
close to the
camera.
camera.
I know.
But yeah, that's actually where we supposedly came from.
Yeah, but it would be. It would be. I can see it because I know that.
Well, that's
I
where
know
the red hair
I know
as
your
well.
great grandparents, so I know.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. You know, I can see it.
That's where the red hair and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that comes from.
But at the end of the day, for them, that's not a problem because you know they know who they are and you know who you are very well. But now it's for the people who don't know who they are and who are now being told
Some rubbish.
let me say by the powers that be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that. They're not, you know, but they're the ones who are setting the curriculum, setting the so-called standards of what we're supposed to listen to and learn and so on and so forth. And how we're supposed to identify.
Because that's what this is all
you know,
about,
so they
isn't it?
force you to identify yourself in a certain way. And like I said, people have to understand that the narrative about the Jewish is a very large thing. Yeah. And why is that? Because Zionists rule the world with their money.
Literally.
And that's what you have to understand. That in itself is a whole nother subject. You know, and maybe I might cover that next week separately. Because the Zionists rule the world.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
And that's
along with the Jesuits.
Yes.
Right? Let me just give it to you like that because it's time for us to go. So in fact, I'll set you up.
Yeah.
You know,
the
Zionists rule the world with the Jesuits.
Yeah.
Go and look. Go and look and see who they are. See who the real Zionists are, what they represent, and what they're all about. And then Jesuits, you're going to find it difficult to find very much about them in terms of who they are. You'll find information about what they say they are and what they say they're doing.
Well, it wouldn't be to you, Israel.
But let me see if you could find the information about who they are.
Yeah. Money answers every matter, controls everything.
That's right. And the Jesuits are the assassins of the Catholic Church. I've said too much already anyway, so let me just allow it.
I don't know why his comment popped up twice. He's obviously very excited.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say more, but there we are.
I think, well, we've covered a lot, and I think you know, see, I told you.
We've got our topic for next.
Yeah,
for next
definitely.
Week. Yeah.
I just love how
the Zionists rule the world with the Jesuits.
Yes. Yeah.
And we'll talk about it next week because it's for real. And this is why. How can you be supporting a state and nation of Israel when it's the Zionists? Yeah. And they even themselves admit that they are secular.
Yeah.
Right. So what is that?
So what are you?
And what does secular actually mean? What's the dictionary definition? Let's give them that before we go.
I don't even know that, but I know it's that.
What does the dictionary definition give us for secular?
Oh dear.
What
does it give us now? Because they might have changed the definition. I noticed
here's what it says. Secular. And this is the top. Worldly rather than spiritual.
Right then.
Not relating to religion or to a religious body. Non-religious. Not bound by the full monastic rule of a religious order, or relating to or advocating secularism. So occurring or observed once in an age, okay, but so it's anything that is non. It's also astronomy of or relating to characteristics of astronomical phenomena that change slightly over time. So you think secular is a little small, simple thing? Because you see, I love words. I used to eat the dictionary. You know, I would go in the library and I'd sit there and read from the dictionary. So when I'm reading these things, it's not necessarily because I don't know what the word means. I'm reading it to people so that they can hear. And then they don't think John Chambers made that up himself. You understand? They are secular. So they are witches and wizards. They are evil.
Yeah.
Let me leave it there. God bless and good night. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Boy.